What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Typhoon Krathon has weakened into a tropical storm after bringing deadly heavy rain and extreme winds to Taiwan. Typhoon Krathon made landfall in Kaohsiung in the south of Taiwan at lunchtime on Thursday local time, bringing record winds of 220 kilometers an hour. It's expected to move northwards and be over central Taiwan on Friday. The storm had killed 2 people and injured more than 120 as of Thursday night, knocking out power to tens of thousands of homes in the south. Schools, offices, and financial markets remain closed for a second day across the country, with hundreds of flights canceled. In a moment, we'll look at how the decision to call it Typhoon Day and close businesses can be a difficult one for local authorities. And we'll take a look at areas in the north that felt the first strong effects of Krathon. But first, reporter Rick Lauer brought us this report from Kaohsiung.
A city under siege from a deadly storm. Typhoon Krathon makes landfall here in Taiwan's industrial port city of Kaohsiung, home to more than 2 million people.
就是买一些那个物资啊，先把它放在家里面，以便不时之需。
今天就风雨就很大了，前几天还好啦，担心就是会海水会倒灌啊。
Most typhoons hit Taiwan from the east, losing strength by the time they reach Kaohsiung on the southern coast. Typhoon Krathon is on an unusual trajectory, coming in from the southwest to strike here directly, the first time in decades. Gusts have been reaching more than 200 kilometers per hour near the harbour front of Kaohsiung, a record for this city. Extreme winds have been bringing down trees and traffic lights, and heavy rain has turned roads into rivers. The city government has closed schools and businesses here for a third day. Evacuation centres have been opened and emergency messages sent to residents' phones reminding them of the typhoon's destructive power.
高雄市是正处在这个现在风力最强劲的时间，所以也要特别呼吁所有的市民朋友没有必要不要外出。
Krathon has puzzled forecasters, taking a rare path and changing in speed, direction and intensity as it approached the coast. As the storm system heads inland, it is expected to weaken without the ocean to fuel it, leaving Kaohsiung bearing the brunt of this unusual typhoon's power. John Su, Justin Wu and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
Krathon also made itself felt in the north of the country, with residents seeing landslides and flooding overnight from Wednesday. Our reporter Tiffany Wong was in New Taipei, where crews are trying to clean up the damage while preparing for more.
Well, the rain is coming down even stronger here in New Taipei City, where cleaning crews are trying to clean up this landslide, digging through mud and trees that fell last night. And this road has been blocked for a few hours now. Earlier today, the New Taipei City Mayor Ho Yong-yi came through to inspect the site, which is behind a vocational school, trying to determine if the buildings and campus are safe for students to come tomorrow.
瑞安高工后面的教室，因为离边坡很近，所以明天如果真的要上课的时候，我们一定要在抢灾以后，我们也要考虑到学生的安全。
Now, the city is still expecting strong winds and rain over the next couple of days as this typhoon holds over Taiwan. And they say they're warning the people to take precautions, try to stay indoors if possible, and they'll try to make the best decisions to keep the most people safe.
A fire has torn through a hospital in southern Pingtung County, killing 9 people. The fire broke out in the electrical room just as Typhoon Krathon passed over the region, adding to the difficulty of putting out the fire. The cause of the blaze is still unclear. There are more than 300 other patients in the hospital have been evacuated to other medical facilities. Meanwhile, 122 people were evacuated from a hospital in Keelung after a fire broke out in an electrical room. Firefighters arrived at the scene in Taiwan's northern port city just 15 minutes after alarms were triggered. No one was injured in the incident, which hospital staff attribute to their safety procedures.
非常幸运，它是在顶楼，所以浓烟几乎没有扩散到病房或是同一楼层。我们平常有定期的一个自我防护、消火的演练等等，那包括人员在第一时间，包括做一些人员的分组。
The cause of the fire is being investigated. Cities and counties around Taiwan declared the second Typhoon Day in a row on Thursday. That's when schools and many businesses take the day off. But the decision to call it Typhoon Day or not can prove to be politically controversial. To learn more about the politics of Typhoon Day, reporter Chris Gorin spoke to Taipei-based lawyer Michael Fahy.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a Typhoon Day in Taiwan?
Well, for government workers, a Typhoon Day is a mandatory day off. But for employees in the private sector, it's a safety precaution for employers. Whether or not to have a Typhoon Day is decided by the individual mayor or county commissioner in the particular jurisdiction. I think there's a big misunderstanding among many people in Taiwan that Typhoon days are a legal holiday. I would just emphasize they're not. And your employer can call you in, and you may not get paid overtime for that. So there are a lot of very unhappy TSMC employees because apparently they're all working on this Typhoon Day just like they've worked on every other Typhoon Day for the last 30 years. But it is something that does affect relations between employers and employees because it goes against what today's employees expect.
So are there any constituencies or groups that are opposed to taking Typhoon days?
Absolutely. Employers, small business owners will be unhappy about Typhoon days getting called. There are all kinds of wild estimates about how much a Typhoon Day might cost an employer. Some people are saying up to $1 billion a day. There are other people saying that a factory with 1,000 workers might pay $3 to $5 million in overtime on a Typhoon Day. So they're not going to be happy about that. And then small business owners have rent to pay, so they're not going to be happy about Typhoon days.
So then the decision on whether or not to have a Typhoon Day can actually be controversial?
Absolutely. There's probably 3 different ways that they can be politically controversial. The first way is that employees today really look forward to these Typhoon days. And if your city doesn't get a typhoon holiday, but the neighboring or the next one over county or city does, there's going to be a lot of disappointed voters out there. And then there's more direct issues. Here in Taipei, a lot of people don't have street parking or a parking lot to use, so they park out on these extensive parking lots past the flood walls near the rivers. Taipei City closed the gates to the parking lots earlier than New Taipei City did. And right now the Keelung River is pretty high, so there's a lot of car owners with cars out there that they can't retrieve who are upset. And if their cars get flooded, they're going to be unhappy voters. And finally, there's another way that it can become politically controversial. It has happened in the past that a mayor of a city has called the typhoon holiday on the morning of the day, so they delayed and didn't do it at 8 o'clock at night like it's normally done. And that totally disrupts people's childcare and work arrangements and that sort of thing.
That was Taipei-based lawyer Michael Fahy. Claudia Sheinbaum was sworn in this week as Mexico's first female president, but her first full day on the job was marred by violent demonstrations in the capital and deaths at the country's southern border. Wesley Lewis reports.
Demonstrators in Mexico City face off against armed police on the 56th anniversary of the Tlatelolco massacre, an assault carried out by the country's army to repress political and social opposition, which resulted in the deaths of at least 30 people, though witnesses and activists say the number could be as high as 300. Protesters were seen throwing Molotov cocktails at police barricades and government buildings. The clashes happened just one day after Claudia Sheinbaum took office as Mexico's first female president. And as one of her first acts in her new role, she issued an official apology for the 1968 massacre, a process she says that began with her predecessor.
La disculpa pública es algo que inició con el presidente Andrés Manuel López Obrador y que nosotros le vamos a dar continuidad.
The apology was well received by some demonstrators who say it's a step in the right direction.
Hoy la presidenta Sheinbaum declaró un crimen de lesa humanidad. Sacó un decreto que pide perdón el gobierno, el Estado, por esos hechos de hace 56 años y representa un paso muy importante.
But other protesters say more needs to be done to make amends for the past.
Que no se vale dar disculpas. Queremos justicia. Ya hace 56 años estás pidiendo justicia, no disculpas. Las disculpas se las puede dar a sus cuates, pero no a nosotros que nos jugamos la vida por cambiar este país.
In a different part of the country, along Mexico's southern border with Guatemala, 6 migrants were killed Tuesday evening, the same day as Sheinbaum's inauguration. They died when soldiers shot at a pickup truck that they say evaded a military patrol. The incident highlights the increasing militarization of the country's border security and growing pressure from the United States for Mexico to reduce the numbers of migrants arriving at the U.S. southern border. Sheinbaum has inherited a number of persistent issues from her predecessor, including a stagnant economy and rising debt. And the violent scenes from her first full days in office are further proof that any honeymoon period she might get is likely to be short. Eason Chen and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
An intricate tunnel network underneath Tokyo keeps the city above water, but increasing levels of rainfall due to climate change threaten to inundate the system. Harrell Hughes reports.
Deep beneath the streets of Tokyo sits this cavernous cathedral. It has 59 pillars, each weighing 500 tons and stretching 18 meters tall, creating a chamber large enough to hold nearly 100 Olympic-sized pools of water. It's part of an intricate system of dams, levees, and tunnels, protecting the city of 37 million people from floods by redirecting floodwaters out of the city. But Tokyo is seeing more downpours than ever before, and its flood prevention system may no longer be enough.
今、温暖化の長期的な傾向が続いていますので、これからも気温が上がってさらに強い雨がこれから降ると、今まで降らなかったような記録的な雨が降るということが想定されます。
City officials have decided on a major upgrade, adding a 4.5-kilometer tunnel to the existing system, nearly doubling its size. It's a network that has been in use for the past 23 years, moving floodwaters an average 7 times each year.
被害額として、参考に言いますと、おおむねですね、日本円で1500億円以上の軽減対策はしているかというところになります。
This year, Tokyo's flood system kicked in 4 times in June alone, more than all of 2020-23. And as Typhoon Krathon hit Japan in August, the tunnels redirected enough water to fill the Tokyo Dome Stadium almost 4 times over.
ますますこれから気候変動に伴いまして、そういった雨が頻発化するとともに、さらに大きな被害が出ると考えられております。そのため我々としてはこういった治水施設を整備することを強化して、都民の安全安心を確保していくといったことを考えております。
With unprecedented levels of rainfall hitting Tokyo, the city's flood system has to keep up, to keep rainwaters out of people's homes and flowing safely away. Hank Xu and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with footage of Typhoon Krathon's power as the storm hovers over southern Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.